Have you ever felt like you were being watched, even when you were completely alone? That's what it was like for us that weekend by the lake, and it only got worse as the nights went on. We had set up camp just off the shore, a group of us looking to escape the noise of the city for a few days. The lake was beautiful, quiet, still, and surrounded by tall pines that seemed to whisper secrets when the wind blew just right. It should have been the perfect place to unwind, but from the very first night, something felt off. The first time we heard it, we were sitting around the campfire, telling ghost stories like campers do. A low, resonant hum drifted across the water, deep and unsettling, like the moan of something large and unseen. I remember we all stopped talking and turned toward the lake at the same time, straining to see through the dark. "What was that?" I asked, breaking the silence. No one had an answer. The sound came again, louder this time, rippling across the surface of the lake. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, it stopped. The lake was still, perfectly calm, but there was something about it that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. "Probably just a fish," Danny muttered, trying to laugh it off, but his voice was tight. "Or the wind," but there was no wind. The air was dead still. We tried to brush it off and went back to our stories, but the mood had changed. I noticed that more than once, someone would glance over their shoulder toward the water, as if expecting to see something emerge from the shadows. The next day, I found myself wandering down to the shore, drawn by a strange urge to look at the water more closely. I don't know what I was expecting to see, but I felt compelled to check. The surface was so smooth, it could have been made of glass, reflecting the dense canopy of trees and the pale, early morning sky. But as I stared, I thought I saw something just below the surface, a dark shape, moving slowly, like a shadow sliding beneath the stillness. "Hey!" Claire's voice startled me, and I nearly lost my footing on the rocks. She came up beside me, frowning. "What are you looking at?" I hesitated. "I thought I saw something," I said, pointing at the water. "Like a shape under there." Claire squinted at the lake, then laughed. "Probably just your reflection." But I wasn't so sure. The shape had been too big, too deliberate. I decided not to press it, though. I didn't want everyone thinking I was seeing things. That night, as we gathered around the fire again, the atmosphere felt heavier. We talked less, our ears tuned to the lake. And then, right on cue, we heard it. The same low hum. But now, it was accompanied by something else, a soft splashing, like something moving just beneath the surface. I looked up and saw it. Ripples forming on the water, spreading out slowly, though there wasn't a breath of wind to disturb the surface. We all stared at the lake, our laughter and chatter forgotten. The ripples grew more pronounced, forming a strange, circular pattern. For a moment, I thought I saw something break the surface, a slick, dark shape, smooth and glistening in the moonlight, but it disappeared too quickly for me to be sure. "Did you see that?" I whispered. Danny nodded, his face pale in the firelight. Yeah, I did." Claire tried to laugh it off again, but there was a tremor in her voice. "Okay, guys, it's just a fish. A big fish. Nothing to worry about." But none of us were convinced. The sounds and ripples continued for a while longer, and then, just as suddenly, they stopped. The lake was still again, like nothing had happened. That was when I remembered something I had heard. A story I had read online about this place. They called it the creature of the lake, a tale passed down by the locals, claiming that something lived in the water, something ancient and strange that only came out when the moon was full. I hadn't paid much attention to it then, it was just another campfire story, after all, but now, it felt different, more real. The next night, the moon was full, hanging low and bright in the sky, casting an eerie light over everything. We stayed closer to the fire, our eyes frequently darting to the water's edge. The noises started earlier this time, that same deep hum, almost like a chant. And then the ripples began, wider and more intense, moving toward the shore. I felt my pulse quicken, and I grabbed Danny's arm. "Look!" A shape rose out of the water. At first, it seemed like a log, black and slick, but it moved with purpose. It glided toward us, and as it drew closer, I saw it wasn't a log at all. It was something alive, something with a thick, scaled hide that glistened under the moonlight. We froze, unable to move or speak. As the creature surfaced, its body half emerged from the water. I couldn't make out much, just the impression of massive, coiling muscles and something that looked like fins or wings on its sides. It didn't look like anything I had ever seen before, and I felt a cold wave of terror wash over me. The creature lingered for a moment, as if watching us, then slowly sank back beneath the surface, leaving only a trail of ripples in its wake. The lake returned to its quiet, eerie calm, but I knew none of us would forget what we had seen. We packed up the next morning, none of us saying much. As we drove away, I glanced back one last time at the lake, its waters shimmering innocently in the daylight. I wondered if the creature would show itself again, or if it would slip back into the depths, waiting for another full moon. All I know is that I'll never forget those eyes, dark, endless, and watching. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching.